Hello there horror fans, and once again welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube. It fills my soul with gladness that you can promptly join us right here for your daily dose of horror. Today though, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Over the past few months, we've happily traversed the endless mind-bending dimension of horror fiction, planting our top 5 scary flags across the way in an effort to analyse and understand just exactly why fear holds such an important place in the hearts of humanity. Today though marks the beginning of a brand new journey into the hard-boiled, harrowing history of true crime as we flip through the case files of some of the most heinous mysteries in human history. An appropriate place to begin then would be perhaps the most unexplainable and notorious crimes of them all, the case of the Zodiac Killer. Well, please take a seat because as per usual, I'll be your horror host Jack Finch, as today we peel back the layers of both fact and fiction and take a look at the true crime mystery of the Zodiac Killer. Roll the clip.
I'm not asking you as a cop, but I am a cop. I can't prove this. Just because you can't prove it doesn't mean it's not true.
Picture this. The day was December 20th, 1968, and a young couple, a pair of high school students by the name of Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, were on their first date together. Their plan was to head to a Christmas concert at Hogan High School, which they both attended and remained a mere 3 blocks away from Betty Lou Jensen's home, safe in the confines of their mom and pop etiquette. Instead though, as young lovers often do, they changed their plans, and David took the keys of his mother's Rambler so that the pair could visit a friend. After eating at a local restaurant, the couple drove out to Lake Herman Road, just inside the Benicia city limits of Solano County, California. At around 10:15 p.m, David Faraday parked his mother's car in a secluded gravel turnout, notorious to locals as a well-used lover's lane. This would be the last known time that the young couple were alive. Shortly after 11 p.m, Stella Borges, the owner of the nearby Borges Ranch, discovered the bodies of both Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. The pair had been shot, Faraday in the head and Jensen with 5 shots through her back as she attempted to flee. The Solano County Sheriff's Department took the helm in the investigation, but no viable leads developed. It would later mark the first known murders at the hands of the Zodiac Killer. Sadly though, they would not be the last. A little over 6 months later, just before midnight on the 4th of July 1969, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau, drove into the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo, almost precisely 4 miles from the Lake Herman murder site, and proceeded to park up in a similar fashion. A little while later, a second car approached their vehicle and parked behind them, but quickly and without warning, the driver of the second vehicle approached the passenger door of Ferrin's car, clutching a flashlight attached to a 9mm Luger, and fired 5 shots at the couple after startling them with the flashlight. Both victims were hit and several bullets had actually passed through Mageau into Darlene Ferrin. Later, she would tragically be pronounced dead on arrival at hospital, but incredibly, Michael Mageau survived the brutal attack despite being shot in the face, neck and chest multiple times. This would be an incredibly important landmark in the Zodiac Killer case, as Mageau provided a description of his attacker. He described him as a white male between 26 and 30 years old, roughly 200 pounds, possibly more, around 5'8", with short, light brown curly hair. A description that would later be corroborated by the few known witnesses to the Zodiac. That brief scrap of information would quickly be overshadowed though, because a few minutes later, at approximately 12:40 a.m, the Vallejo Police Department received a phone call, the first known correspondence with the Zodiac Killer. Police dispatcher Nancy Slover answered as the caller. A man said, "I want to report a murder. If you will go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car."
They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye.
This would begin what is perhaps known as the most iconic modus operandi of the Zodiac Killer, his startling and brazen correspondence with the police and detective authorities. The first of which occurred on August 1st, 1969, when 3 separate letters were sent to 3 of the most important newspapers in California: the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. Each letter, which were nearly identical in content, took credit for both of the shootings at Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs, but perhaps the most interesting facet of this act was that 1/3 of a 408 symbol cryptogram was included in each letter, which when combined would produce a key to the puzzle. The Zodiac killer claimed that his cryptic clue contained his identity, and if it wasn't printed by all 3 newspapers, he would be forced to go on a rampage across the city. Perhaps it was an elaborate game to him, and perhaps part of the mystery and mire that surrounds the Zodiac killer is down to the ambiguity and skewed intention of these cryptograms. But nevertheless, on August the 8th, 1969, a little over a week later, husband and wife Donald and Betty Harden of Salinas, California, cracked the code after seeing it in the newspaper. They discovered that the message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all," as well as going on to describe his intention to collect slaves for the afterlife. Humorously enough, it didn't reveal the killer's name as he had promised. Despite this crypto revelation though, there were now many more questions than there were answers. Over a month later, perhaps the most iconic act of the Zodiac killer's murderous reign occurred, the Lake Berryessa attack. On September the 27th, 1969, 2 students of Pacific Union College, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, who were identical to his previous victims, again a couple, and were picnicking on a small island in the middle of Lake Berryessa, Napa County, California. The pair were lounging in the sun in the remote isolation of the lake when they were approached by a white male wearing a black executioner's type hood with a bib on his chest with the strange white marking of a 3x3 cross circle symbol on it. This would be the first confirmed use of the infamous Zodiac symbol. Initially, the couple believed that they were victims of a weird, bizarre robbery, and after the Zodiac held them at gunpoint, he tied them up with pre-cut lengths of plastic clothesline. Quickly and without warning though, the Zodiac drew a knife and stabbed the couple repeatedly. Brian Hartnell suffered 6 stab wounds and Cecilia Shepard 10. After the Zodiac killer quickly fled the scene, he hiked 500 yards back up to the nearby Knoxville Road, and then, with a black felt tip pen, he drew the familiar Zodiac symbol on the window, and beneath it he wrote Vallejo, 12/20/68, 7/4/69, September the 27th, 69, 6:30. By knife. Incredibly though, for the second time in history, a victim of the Zodiac killer miraculously escaped death. Brian Hartnell survived after Cecilia Shepard tragically succumbed to her wounds after being rushed to Queen of the Valley Hospital in Napa County. In similar fashion as before, the Napa County Sheriff's Department shortly received a call from the Zodiac killer. At 7:40 p.m, an operator answered the phone when the perpetrator stated verbatim that he wished to report a murder. No, a double murder that he himself had committed.
Subject stated, "I want to report a murder." No, a double murder. I did it.
After Brian Hartnell's recovery from the heinous and violent act, on September 30th, 1969, he took to KPIX Eyewitness News to try and make sense of this ordeal.
You know that this man is still at large, and that there is a better than average possibility that this could be the same man who was involved in 4 murders over in Vallejo.
The state of California was equal parts shocked and perplexed at the calculated crimes that had unfolded. Seemingly, a pathological killer had emerged from the unknown who remained outside the realms of conventional police work and the traditional historical patterns of murderous criminals. Every twist and turn seemed to reveal yet another dead end, like a payphone hung off the line, always a minute too late, or a handprint on a window, too misted and foggy to pick up a print. Sadly, it wouldn't be the last time though, because a little over 2 weeks later, the Zodiac killer's modus operandi shifted once more. This time in a stark departure from his previous murder methods, in his successful attempt to stay one step ahead of the law and the unsuspecting public that he preyed upon. Although, unfortunately for us, that case is left for the next part of True Crime. There we have it, horror fans, our first toe dip in the endless ocean that makes up the mystery of the Zodiac killer. Thank you for sticking around all the way until the end and bearing witness to the first part in what will hopefully be a lengthy series. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at the latter end of the strange and perplexing Zodiac timeline, as well as the string of theories that only add to the continued mystery. Make sure to comment down below and let us know your thoughts on where we should take True Crime, whether you love it, whether you hate it, and whether you just want more. I'll be reading out some of your best comments in the next part of this series. If you're a fan of this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button as well as that subscribe bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your horror host Jack Finch. You've been watching Top 5 Scary Videos, and until next time, you take it easy.